Hey, Pastor Ray Barnett here with you. Glad that you could be with me here on the Oasis. And as always, I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time you're watching this broadcast. It's a nice sunny day, 3 days in a row without one single cloud in the sky. However, there are a lot of clouds looming over the minds of many Americans. Today is November the 9th. At least I think it's the 9th. Day after Election Day, and heads are exploding all over the country. But my job here is to help you to keep yours level and to keep yours from, breaking out into symptoms. Let me go over a lesson I've covered before, but this is pretty much everything this channel is about. Could sum it up in these words: if you want the end of good mental health, we could say just good health in general, then you have to accept the means. If you want to be an accomplished pianist, you have to accept the fact that daily practice of scales, etudes, studies, are all part of the process. The most accomplished musicians in the world practice scales every day. Andres Segovia, my favorite guitarist of all time, classical guitarist, considered to be one of the greatest guitarists, if not the greatest guitarist that ever lived, believed in practicing scales, at least for the beginner, 2 hours a day. I know of classical pianists who practice scales. Just like little children do, going up, going down. Key of C, C sharp, D, E, you get the picture. If you want the end, you want to be good at anything, you have to accept the means to that end. So, musicians, it means hours involved in hard practice. If you want to be a medical doctor, you have to spend years in undergraduate and then medical school, residency, and so on. Many years to be accomplished as a physician. And you get the idea. Athletes, hours of practice, diet, nutrition, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. And so, you are subscribed to this channel because you want good mental health. You want to be rid of your symptoms. You want to be rid of your aberrant thoughts, racing thoughts, palpitations, and so on and on. That's what you want. But in order to accomplish that, you have to accept the means, which I provide for you here on this channel, which is training. You cannot constantly be running to a physician, and I always issue this caveat, assuming you've been properly checked out by competent medical professionals, that the problem is not in the heart, of the stomach, or wherever you're getting symptoms. If that's the case, then you can't be running to the emergency room every single time you have a panic attack. You can't always be soliciting your doctor for more and more medications if you want to get well, because even though medications are certainly legitimate and in some cases, or many cases perhaps, helpful, you don't want to be taking box loads of medications and sleeping all day long, or just have your mind in a constant fog and hope to get well. Anyway, that's whatever medications you take or don't take, that's between you and your physician. I am a doctor, but I'm not a medical doctor. With that being said, here on this broadcast, the emphasis is always on training. The ability, or I should say, gaining the ability to realize that your nervous symptoms, if they're purely nervous and related to your nervous system, are always issuing a warning to the brain that you are in danger, when clearly, well, maybe it's not clear for some of you, when you're not. You have to override the thoughts of danger with the thoughts of security. So I have to, because these broadcasts are short, for the new subscribers, you'd have to go back and just start watching some of the older broadcasts on the grounds that I've already covered. But it basically boils down to proving through experience, which means practice and training, that your symptoms are, what would be a good word? It's a false message being sent to the brain. And a good example would be this. You're asked maybe on a moment's notice in a classroom someplace to stand up and tell the class what you know, or you have to give a speech. That would even be better because you have time to prepare it. You have to think about it. And the average individual is going to be petrified of giving a speech in front of a group of people. Now let's think about it rationally, because it's a really good example of how nervous symptoms react in the training that you have to do, the hard work you have to do. The average individual is going to be very nervous in preparation and much more nervous in the presentation in front of even a small group of people. The reason being is that the brain is receiving a message of danger. The body is responding with the sweaty hands, which I think is most common when giving a speech. I read of George Patton, the great American general in World War II, that said he always had sweaty hands before a battle. But that would be much more in touch with reality, because you go into battle, you're not only shooting at the enemy, they're shooting back. I mean, you do have a chance of being injured or killed. So that's a real danger, combat. Giving a speech is intimidating for certain, but there's no real danger. I mean, the worst that can happen is that you commit a few faux pas in public, which I've done hundreds of times. And you have to be able to say it's nothing. It happens to everybody. It happens to the greatest speakers. So you can get the idea. Entering into combat, your hands are sweaty, heart is beating hard, because you're going to face a real danger, an absolute real danger. Giving a speech, not being excessively shy as you have been for most of your life, the ability to voice your opinion and so on. That's good training in the fact that there's not a real danger present, only the thought of embarrassment or feeling shame or people laughing at you and all of that. So I use these as examples that, for instance, if you wanted to become an accomplished speaker and in the beginning you're intimidated, you got to keep speaking over and over again, and you have to train the brain to not accept the thoughts of danger when there really isn't any danger other than feeling embarrassed, feeling ashamed. I remember in the early years of my ministry, I was absolutely never satisfied with a message that I gave. I was always highly critical of myself, always thinking, I could have said more, I should have said less, that didn't come out right. I was always second-guessing myself, which would show that I wasn't very confident in my presentation. That was years ago. It's changed now, and it's changed because I have experience. I'm not the world's greatest speaker. I am not above making faux pas, slips of the tongue. Once I began to stutter, and that just caused... and the subject that I was speaking on was very serious. And I got so excited I started to stutter, and a few friends of mine in the back were laughing, which made me even more aggravated. And, in my world, making speeches minimal twice a week, that just happens. After a while, you just accept it. What it is training. You're training the brain to say, these things happen, they're going to happen in the future, so get used to it. With your symptoms, it's the same thing. These symptoms have been with you, some of you, for years and years. And you're still not, still haven't trained yourself to say, I've had this symptom 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 times, and nothing has happened. Nothing bad has happened. And so you do the training in between, and then you get some type of nervous symptom, the stomach starts to hurt, heart is palpitating, whatever, pains, aches, muscles are tight. I met a young guy today, very first time, his neck was stiff, he couldn't move it, he was in pain. And I just share with him some insights that I thought would help him. But it's very common. I told him what you have is what you have the proverbial stiff neck. It's not a real big deal. Talked about his neck cracking. Those things happen to you. This is a young kid who doesn't have, well, as far as I know, he doesn't have nervous symptoms. But if I were to take him on and train him the way I'm training you, I would, just give him more advice and tell him, we got to repeat this lesson over and over and over again. Here's another thing. You won't be successful on your first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, fourth attempt, fifth attempt. That's why you have to keep practicing. Reminding yourself, as I told you the other day, to download off the website the renewed principles under the mental health tab on the Time for Truth Ministries website. That if you are, it's just a way of reasoning, it's logical. If you are safe, then you cannot be in danger. They're mutually exclusive terms. Mutually exclusive states. Let me go back to pattern, combat, and the speech. You go into combat, you're in real danger. Be really abnormal not to feel nervous. You're going to give a speech, well, it's average to feel nervous, but there is no real danger. So apply that to your own situation. You have to keep training again and again and again and again. There is no danger. I'm not in danger. And for some of you, your symptoms are very acute, severe, but unless you do the training, the end of good mental health, or just for that matter, just good health, period, is not likely to come, maybe ever. Do the training, you're on your way, one step at a time, and I'm going to remind you that you will not be successful in the first try, second try, third try. It's impossible. Well, maybe not impossible, but it's very improbable that you're going to be a success as soon as you started training yourself to walk when you feel fatigued, get up off the couch when you're depressed and you feel like you can't move a muscle when you actually can. And again, these are lessons I've covered before. I can't go through them all. Just some examples. So you have to be able to put into practice the things that you're learning here on this channel, the things you're reading in your Bible, and so on, in order to gain the experience. Then you are actually moving towards the end of good mental health, beating that depression, beating the anxieties, beating the panic attacks, and so on and so forth. You can name 1,000 symptoms. Do the training, and that'll be proof that you are sincere and really want to be free from your nervous symptoms, your anxieties, your depressions, and so on. And in the end, as you keep chipping away at it, day by day, hour by hour, week after week, month after month, your brain will learn, you'll get the experience that these nervous symptoms, though causing me great distress, are not really causing me danger, which is the very signal the brain is getting, and then you get that vicious cycle we talk about. Brain to body gets more tense, more tension, more danger in the brain, and on, and it gets worse. So that's what I want to share with you today. You have to do the training. You have to get up. You got to take that walk. You got to fulfill that goal. You got to stop procrastinating. You got to speak up, speak your mind when it's difficult to do so, and on and on and on. Whatever your situation may be. The only way to put a fear to death is to walk out against it. Let me just give you one quick example before I finish. I saw a quote on social media. Remember, today's the day after Election Day, and Governor DeSantis has been reelected, and somebody, quite a few people were talking about New York State. Our appointed governor has now been elected governor. And basically they were saying, well, New York, you did this to yourself, so you deserve what you get. So somebody put out there, hey, how many of you in New York are thinking about moving to Florida? And I have my own reasons why I'll never be in Florida. I mean, to live in Florida. But my response was this: fleeing is for cowards, and fleeing is for the weak and the infirm, which some people need to move to a different state for their health. I'm not downplaying that. I'm not running from New York State to some other state where it's all supposed to be sunshine and rainbows. No, that's for cowards, in my opinion. In any case, when it comes to your mental symptoms, you keep running and hiding from them, they're going to keep haunting you. All right, so that's my message. That's my exhortation. Do the training that you learn here on this channel. And eventually, as you hack away at it, you're going to beat your symptoms. You're going to be free. Remember what Jesus said: whom the Son sets free is free indeed. And that's what you want. That's the goal. And you got to do the training to reach that goal. So let me pray for you. Father, once again, help my friends to do the work that's necessary, the hard work. It's not easy. But give them the grace to go forward and to not quit until they are totally free and can comment, testify, and share how they used to be nervous and fearful and anxious and depressed, but not anymore. And that's what you came, Lord, to give us as our inheritance. All right. So I hope this helps. Like I said, now we're at the stage after 400 videos of exhortations on lessons that I've already given. I really apologize for the new subscribers. I know you're not going to be sitting for days doing 400 videos, but we need to move forward. So do the training. If you'd like to be with us and you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Here we just do mental health. We don't do politics. We don't do a lot of things. I don't even do a lot of theology. I save that for the pulpit, which tonight I'll be in the Bible study. Sunday I'll be back in the pulpit. It's a different platform and a different goal. Here, my interest is in helping you to overcome symptoms, nervous symptoms, mental health issues. So if you'd like to be with us, subscribe, hit the notification button. And as always, I remind you to please share these videos with so many people who can really use them and need the help. They need the encouragement. All right. Weather is supposed to keep holding up, as far as I know. Like I said, not been a cloud in the sky for 3 days now, so we're good. Lord willing, I'll be with you here again tomorrow. In the meantime, you always remember, let the peace of Christ rule in your heart. And with God's help and blessing, I'll see you here again tomorrow on the Oasis. God bless till I see you then.